A customer is an individual or organization that purchases goods or services from you. In CenterPoint, customers are used on the customer invoices and receipt screens, as well as the sales order screen if you have the sales order module. A list of customers is maintained on a customer setup list underneath Setup and Customers. In this video, we're going to learn how to create a new customer and discuss the General and Addresses tabs of the Customer Setup detail. To add a new customer from this customer setup list, we can click the New button, and that'll take you to the customer detail where you would fill out the information and click Save to add a new customer. Again, in this video, we'll be discussing the General and Addresses tabs of this detail screen. The additional tabs are discussed in additional videos. Another way to create a new customer from this same screen is to highlight an existing customer that has many of the same details as the one that you want to create and click the Copy button. That'll copy all the details from that existing customer to a new record, except the name. The name is going to say new. Now you can make whatever changes are going to be different between those customers and click Save to create the new customer. From a transaction screen, you can also create a new customer. I'm going to open up the customer invoices screen, but from any of the transaction screens that involve customers, you can click on the lookup at the end of the customer field and click the New button to create a new customer. You can also right-click in that field and choose New, and that'll allow you to create a new customer. Going to go back to the customer setup list. Just a few things about this tab here before we move on to the customer setup detail. On this list, if I wanted to delete a customer, I could highlight the customer and click the Delete button, and it's going to ask me to verify that I want to delete them. If they haven't been used in any transactions, I can delete them. But if they have been used in a transaction, when I go to delete them, I'm going to get a message like this saying I'm unable to delete them. What I can do to get them off of my lists and data entry at this point then is to make them inactive. So I can right-click on them, go to Activate, Deactivate, and I can move over any companies, or if you're on our fund accounting product, any funds that I want to make them inactive for to the right-hand side, and then choose to deactivate it. I can also combine names on the list. You notice on my list I have the Bike Club of Red Wing and the Red Wing Bike Club. They're the same organization. Somebody just typed it in wrong one time. There's transactions going to both of them, so I can't delete them, but what I can do is combine them. So I'm going to highlight the one that I want to get rid of, click the Combine button, and then highlight the one that I want to combine it with, and click OK. It's going to give me a warning because there's no undo for this feature. You should take a backup before you do it, and then click Yes. Okay, notice that the Bike Club of Red Wing is gone, and any activity that went to it was transferred to the name or the customer called Red Wing Bike Club. There's also a Mass Update button on this screen. The Mass Update button is used when you want to change information on more than one customer at a time. And there is a separate video on the Mass Update feature. To demonstrate or to talk about the General and Addresses tabs of the customer setup, I'm going to double-click on this customer and edit them. The first tab that you need to enter in when you're putting in a new customer is the General tab. And some of the information on the tab is required and some is not. If you try to save a customer without having the required information entered, it will stop you. So the first thing you need to enter or select is whether or not they're a business or individual. Okay, this one's a business, so it's labeled company on that field. If it was an individual, it would change that field to last name, suffix, first name, middle initial. I'm going to go back to business. In the miscellaneous section, you can choose the date that this customer became a customer. And you can default a salesperson to this customer, and then it'll default that salesperson on any transactions that have a field for salesperson on them, such as the invoice. You have the ability to put in an abbreviation for the customer, and you can manage how duplicates are handled for abbreviations by right-clicking on the field and saying whether or not you want to allow duplicates, warn if duplicates, or say that no duplicates are allowed. If you have a contact at the organization, you can put the contact's name into the contact field, and then you'll enter in the company name, their default address or their business address, their city, state, and zip. You'll also have the ability to choose a default shipping method for them. So if you choose a shipping method, that will default to any transaction screens that this customer is used on. For fields like this, if you want to have that be the default for any new customers that you create, you can right-click on it and set it as the default. Now, that applies to multiple fields. I can also do that on my price level, for example. From there, it's going to tab up and ask you if you want to put in any phone information, phone, cell phone, fax, or email for the customer. Then it goes down to the sales information where you can select a payment term for this customer, and that'll help to calculate due dates on invoices. It'll also help to calculate any discounts that were set up in that payment term. For each customer, you can choose a price level for the customer, and then whether or not you offer any trade discounts. If you do, you can put in the trade discount that is offered to this customer. There's a field for credit limits where you can put in what the credit limit for the customer is. Now you can turn off this field if you aren't using credit limits, and we can do that by going to File and Preferences. Underneath Customer Invoices, there's a section called Credit Limits. And on the Database tab for credit limits, we could either put the check mark in saying that we want to allow credit limits, or take the check mark out, which will disable that field. You also have the ability to put a customer on credit hold. And being on credit hold means that they won't be able to have any new invoices that aren't paid in full. Under sales tax, you can select the default sales tax for this customer for this address. At the bottom of the screen, you have the ability to change the active status of a customer. So this is another way to activate or deactivate them. On this screen, you could take the check mark out of any company or any fund that you want to deactivate the customer for. At the very bottom of the screen are two icons that will, the first one, allow you to scan in any documents and add them to this customer record. The second icon would allow you to attach documents that are already on your computer. Attaching documents to any customer, vendor, or employee records are discussed in a separate video. Next to the attachment icons is the notes icon. The notes icon will allow you to put in notes for this vendor. So I'm just going to put in, this is a note, and click OK. If you want to add any kind of timestamp to the note, you can add the timestamp at the bottom and click OK. Then if you want to print notes on any of your forms, you can say print notes on the forms. You would still need to go to the forms designer and edit that form and make sure that you put the notes field on the form. From here, I'm going to go to the addresses tab. You can see that I've already got 2 addresses in for this customer. If I want to add a new address, I could click New, and you'll need to choose a location type for the address. So I'm going to choose that this is a shipping address. If you need to add new location types, you could click the New button. I'm going to call this their Lake City warehouse. If I have a contact there, I can put in the contact. This is going to be 41 Chester Drive, and this is in Lake City. Now for each address, if you've put a contact name in and you want to print the contact on the form, you can check the box below it. Later on, if you no longer need the address, but it's been used in transactions, you can make it inactive by taking the check mark out of the active status box. For each address you create, you can determine whether it is the default for any of the following. If it's the default billing address, that's where any invoices and any billing statements are going to be addressed to. If it is a default business address, it is the address that will appear on the General tab. If it is the default shipping address, then it is the one that'll come up as the default shipping address when you create new invoices. If I mark this one as the default shipping address, any one that was previously marked the default shipping address will be unchecked, and that's true of any of these checkboxes. The default pay to generally isn't used for customers, but for vendors, this will become the address that any checks are written out to by default. So that's what those addresses represent. For each address you put in, you can have different contact information. So you notice that my Red Wing address has different contact information than my previous Lake City address. So you can have different contact information per address. You can also choose a different shipping method per address, and you can choose a different sales tax per address. When you're done adding the address, you can click Save. Again, the additional tabs that were on that customer detail are discussed in additional videos.